She laughed at her own husband and called him useless in front of her entire family. Plates froze midair, smiles turned awkward, and then her grandmother, the woman everyone feared, slowly stood up and spoke 6 words that silenced the room and exposed a truth no one was ready to face. Stay with this story until the end, because what begins as humiliation will turn into a reckoning that changes every life at that table. Subscribe now if you believe patience, dignity, and quiet strength always have the final word. The laughter didn't come from strangers, that would have been easier. It came from the woman he married. Daniel Carter stood at the edge of the long dining table, hands clasped tightly behind his back, while his wife, Melissa, wiped tears of amusement from her eyes. Honestly, she said between laughs, gesturing toward him with her fork, I don't even know what he contributes anymore. The word useless landed harder than any insult Daniel had heard in his life. Around the table sat her family, successful, loud, accomplished people who measured worth in titles and bank accounts. Her brother smirked, her cousin chuckled, her mother pretended to sip her wine to hide a smile. Daniel forced his face into something neutral, something trained over years of being underestimated. No one here knew that he had once turned down promotions to support Melissa's career. No one remembered who stayed up through the nights when her business failed the first time. Tonight was supposed to be a simple family dinner at her grandmother's estate, a tradition steeped in respect and hierarchy. But Melissa, glowing with pride from a recent promotion, had decided to make an example of him. She recounted how he left his corporate job, how he worked odd hours from home, how he didn't match her ambition. Each sentence drew more laughter, and each laugh pressed Daniel deeper into silence. He could have defended himself. He chose not to, because he knew something they didn't, and because the only person at that table who truly saw him had been quiet the entire night. Grandmother Evelyn had said nothing. She was well into her 80s, sharp-eyed, elegant, and intimidating in a way that didn't require raised voices. When she finally set her spoon down, the clink echoed louder than the laughter. Melissa, she said calmly, tell me something. Melissa straightened, eager. What does your husband do? Melissa scoffed. Honestly, I don't even know anymore. Evelyn nodded slowly, then turned her gaze to Daniel. And you? Daniel hesitated. I manage risk portfolios, he said simply. Another laugh escaped Melissa. Evelyn's eyes narrowed, not at Daniel, but at her granddaughter. For whom? She asked. Daniel answered quietly. For a private firm. Evelyn leaned back, her expression unreadable. Then she said the words that would fracture the room. Then you are the man who saved this family. Silence fell like a dropped curtain. Evelyn revealed what no one else knew. Years ago, when the family estate was facing collapse due to a reckless investment, an anonymous consultant had stepped in, restructured everything, and refused public credit. That consultant was Daniel. He had protected Melissa's pride. He had protected the family name. He had chosen invisibility over recognition. Melissa's face drained of color. Evelyn stood, supported by her cane, and continued. Useless men shout about power. Valuable men move quietly. One by one, the smiles vanished. Daniel didn't move. He didn't smile. He simply looked at his wife, not with anger, but with clarity. The truth unraveled quickly after that. Emails were checked. Records surfaced. Apologies came, awkward, rushed, self-serving. Melissa tried to laugh it off, then tried to cry, then tried to explain. Daniel listened without interrupting. Later that night, alone on the balcony overlooking the garden, Melissa begged him to stay. She said she hadn't meant it. That she was stressed. That she was proud of him, in her own way. Daniel finally spoke, calmly, firmly. Love that needs humiliation to feel powerful isn't love. The next weeks brought consequences. The family business shifted authority. Evelyn publicly acknowledged Daniel's role. Offers poured in, but Daniel didn't chase them. He chose himself. He moved out quietly, not in anger, in dignity. Months later, at Evelyn's birthday, Daniel returned, not as Melissa's husband, but as a respected guest. Melissa watched him from across the room, understanding too late what she had mocked. Evelyn smiled at him and said softly, never confuse silence with weakness. And for the first time, Daniel smiled, not because he had won, but because he had finally been seen. This story reminded you that quiet strength outlasts loud arrogance. Subscribe now. Because the next story might say the words someone once should have said for you.